Good morning, friends. Welcome to week one of our wellness journey. Chris and I talked a lot about how are we going to transfer that in-person experience that we loved so much onto this platform of online. And what we did was we looked at some of the activities that we did in that in-person class, and we're like, how does this translate? So this week, the first module is all about home environment and nourishment. And I started with nourishment specifically because when I went through my program at the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, and I was learning about all these different holistic approaches to wellness, the first thing that they had us do was take what's called a wellness wheel assessment. And I remember taking this assessment, and it was the first time that I really had taken a step back and looked at all areas of wellness. For me, up until that point, it had been, what am I eating? How much am I exercising? And pretty much that was it. And what happens is they introduce you to this concept of two things. One is primary foods, and primary foods are all those sources of nourishment and energy that we get outside of what we eat. So immediately we think of health and we immediately go to diet, but these are things like home environment and finances and work that you love and relationships and all these other pieces that when they're in focus and we're paying attention to them, some of those other health pieces that we normally think of, which they call secondary foods, those take kind of a back burner. And so you're going to do some work this week looking at those primary foods, taking the wellness wheel assessment, and really kind of giving yourself a whole picture of where you are in your well-being journey. This will be helpful for us too, because then we can use this information to help support you throughout our time together. So I'm going to share our screen and just kind of go through what the expectations are this week, so that you have an overview and an understanding. If you're watching this video, you're good with number one. This first piece of this, and something that we were really nervous about, was how do we create like a community? Because that's so important to us. And in our wellness classes in the past, Chris and I are so blown away by the amount of support that you offer each other. So we are going to ask, the first thing you do is to introduce yourself via video. So this is a Flipgrid. It's embedded directly into Canvas. So all you have to do is click this big plus, and you're just going to record a short video that says your name, your role, and then we're going to do like a modified show and tell, where you're going to pick an item, a picture, or an object that displays a form of self-care, relaxation, or well-being that you tap into. So if you love to read or you love to journal, you could pick that as your object. Whatever it is, you're going to explain what is that thing that you go to when you're feeling stressed and overwhelmed. You'll share your video. If you want to respond to somebody else's, you certainly can, but your expectation is just to shoot a quick video just introducing yourself. And what this does is it creates a face and a name, and it allows us to connect a little bit deeper. So that's the first expectation for this week. This primary foods and wheel of life assessment, it's exactly what I just went over. But if you look at the PDF, you're going to read this little information about primary foods, and then in blue, it tells you what you're going to do with this. So this is going to be a discussion, and it says your support group. So let me explain that a little bit. What's going to happen throughout this class is you're going to be partnered up with about 3 or 4 people in a group that's going to be your group throughout the entire time together. The reason we do this is to create more of a safe space so that you can be a little bit more vulnerable and offer each other feedback and kind of create that sense of connection and community that we're searching for. So you're just going to discuss, during looking at this wheel, what were some takeaways or outcomes that came up for you. This is what the Circle of Life PDF is going to look like. You can edit it. It is a PDF. So if you have like an Apple Pencil or you go to edit, you can edit it right on here. If you want to print it and then do it like with pencil and then take a picture and upload it, that's totally fine too. But your goal, you can see the directions here, is to place closest to the dot is like areas of like dissatisfaction or growth. If as you go out, that's going to be areas like it's going to be like a line of like how satisfied you are in that specific area. And you're going to connect them together to just kind of see where there might be any imbalances or areas that might need a little bit more attention or focus. So that is that activity. Once we get past the nourishment and the primary foods, you're going to look at that and you're going to create a WHOOP goal. So a WHOOP goal is something that's a wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. I have a little video for you that explains kind of exactly what it is. I used to use this with my students. I used to teach middle school, and I would have them set WHOOP goals in the beginning of the school year. So here's a template that you can utilize where you can actually fill this in, Or if you don't want to use the template and you just want to fill it in on your own, that's okay too. But either way, you're going to have to submit a WOOP goal to us so that we can use that to support you. When you click on this, you'll see that it opens as a PDF, and you can actually edit within that PDF. So you can save it and then reattach it for us. So that would be your WOOP goal. After your WOOP goal is set, we're going to look at that home environment piece of this, and we're doing this through the lens of minimalism and decluttering. So I have been on a minimalism journey for quite a bit now. My husband and I both made a pact that we were going to start to get rid of things that were taking up space, that were creating kind of energy sucks for us. And we realized that the more we would get rid of and the more that we would donate and the more simplistic our spaces would be, the more energy we actually felt. We had more focus, we had more attention, it felt less stressful. So this process is kind of interesting, and this is not a like redo your whole entire house kind of scenario, but these guys who wrote the documentary Minimalism on Netflix, if you haven't watched that, I strongly suggest watching that. It's such a good watch. But this is a TED Talk with them. It's called A Rich Life with Less Stuff. It just gets you start to think about that idea of when you're purchasing or bringing something into your home, is it a want or is it a need? And if it's a want, then ask yourself why. Why is this going to be brought into this space? Because we are carrying around so much extra clutter in our lives, and it really does create stress and mental fatigue that we didn't even recognize was happening. So just some food for thought with that. And this is a discussion as well that you'll be doing with your support groups. So you'll be able to have a little dialogue about that as well. And then the next piece of this is you're actually going to take a declutter style needs assessment. So if you know the book, and I actually have it over here, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. She actually has a Netflix series now too. Her methodology is a little aggressive. I mean, it's to the point where like you have to fold your t-shirts in like a little square. But I do think that she has some really good ideas and some things about how you can start the decluttering process. So once you take this quiz, it's just a silly fun quiz, but it's gonna diagnose maybe where there's some areas that you might need to organize and kind of declutter. And when I'm talking about declutter, I don't just mean physical space. Like our home environment is so important, but there's also places like digital space that's taking up space in our minds and our days. So how are you getting rid of apps or cleaning up your desktop or filing files where they're supposed to be, or getting your inbox to zero? It could also be a digital space that you're looking at to declutter. But from this quiz, you're going to follow up with one of these two activities, and you can read. One's choose an environment in your life and just do small baby steps like each consecutive day, or this is like actually decluttering a space. And you're just going to reflect on your experience of what that felt like. And then to round us out, there's always going to be an exercise or some type of gentle practice for you. The weeks that I do the modules, so week 1, it's going to be a gentle yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher, and I'm just going to tape a little 30-minute practice for you. This is not required. You don't have to turn anything in, but it's just getting you introduced to some simple movements and exercises that you might be able to implement into your mornings and your day to help support your movement and wellness goals. And at the end of that, if you do like it, I'm going to also offer up some apps and some activities and some other videos that you can use if you wanted to keep doing it throughout the week, because I'm sure watching it 5 times is going to get a little boring. So maybe watching it once, and then I'll give you some other resources to tap into. But that's it for week 1. Just really thinking about our home environment, our space, even the space that you do work at. As you can see, I'm in my daughter's bedroom. This has been my office for the past however many months. But decluttering your space and kind of getting some energy back that is being sucked unnecessarily. So have fun with this. If you ever need anything, or you want extra support, or you want to ask any questions, please know that we're always available for you. I just was looking at this really quick too. Just know that course WOOP goal, if you've taken Tom's classes before, that's going to actually be your 10-point project. So you'll see down here, we have the projects listed, but all 3 projects are going to be embedded within the course. So you don't actually have to submit anything here. During the different modules, you'll see like, okay, well, here's that 10-point project, and you'll be turning those in throughout the modules. So don't worry about those. This actually counts for that 10-point project right there. All right. I hope that you have an awesome first week. And I look forward to working with all of you over the next 6. Take care.